software update as soon as it became aware of the issues.
It initially went out and we started to see some issues and then pulled it back. So not all of our customers are impacted. Windows and Linux are not impacted. And as soon as we saw this issue, which didn't manifest itself before we obviously sent it out, we rolled it back. And now we're dealing with the impacted systems.
Well, Jake Moore, Global Cybersecurity Advisor at Eset, joins us now. So too, Arjun joining us then for this conversation. Jake, let's start off with you. Thank you so much for the time. Is it just about the over-reliance then that we have on big tech at this stage? And I mean, if one just perhaps goes back to this happening, there seems to have been that in play, and of course affecting everything that we had on set linked to this.
It really does show how much we do rely so much on just a few small numbers of big technology companies. And when things go wrong, it can be catastrophic. And so it really does shine some light on the fact that we need to do more education on the update process. Maybe we got just a little bit easy with this, but so many companies can learn from this situation to do even more rigorous testing on those updates, which are so vital because these updates are really, really important for all computers to stay secure, but it's also about the balance with the speed in which they go out. So it's all about making sure that everything's okay before they do go out.
Jake, how possible is it on an update of this scale, is it to do that kind of testing required before sending out these updates? The other big issue here, of course, is the fact that these cybersecurity firms require quite high-level access and permissions into networks in order to deploy these kind of updates as well. So is there a requirement, perhaps, that that level of access also needs to change to prevent something like this again?
Well, this type of update does, like you say, need what's called the kernel level of access. That's the highest level of access into the system resources. So if you're able to get into that core operating system, it needs to have full access. That can be maliciously overlooked by cybercriminals and so on. So it needs to be in there and nice and secure and packaged nicely. But yes, if things go wrong, they can cause huge havoc. But like you say, it's about the speed. So we need to get these updates out there. It's vital that they're looked at, but it's very difficult to plan this in a safe environment at scale because you don't know really what's going to happen until it's out there. If you have mobile phones and personal computers, you're probably used to having these updates all the time and they're happening weekly, monthly, and so on. And if there's a mistake in some of them, you might get another one the next day. The fact is, like you say, it had such core access and it turned on this whole blue screen of death. That was the issue, because now to get around the next fix, which is obviously now available, it needs manual processing. So people at the computer to make it all be fixed once again.
And Jake, when we look at what happened here, it was around an update that also had an impact on the Windows operating system, which is used so vastly across the world as well. I suspect this might not be the last time something like this happens. So when you look at the sort of global IT landscape at this point, where do you continue to see vulnerabilities? Is it the reliance on these cloud providers, single security software? Where are you seeing those vulnerabilities?
Yeah, so we do rely so much on Windows. It's obviously the number one operating system out there. But these huge companies need to be growing at scale. It's very difficult to, say, partition Windows and then other operating systems like Linux or Chrome in amongst their companies, because then they don't always like talking to each other. So you've effectively got to stick with one of them and go with it. Now, I don't think we will see anything like this at scale again, because so many lessons have been learned. I think, 8.5 million devices knocked offline in just a few hours. That's catastrophic. And I think we will learn from this. But maybe it's about staggering those processing the updates in the future. Maybe not to go out at speed immediately to all of those, just to see how it does test in small numbers at a time.
Jake, I've done a couple of stupid things in my life. One of them was reading the book by Rumaan Alam about Leave the World Behind a couple of years ago, and then this year deciding to watch the movie as well. You've referred to this as well. This is the excellent Julia Roberts movie, and the book's even better, actually, about basically being cut off from everything electronically and the terrifying world that ensues. Why shouldn't things get worse on this front with the advent of AI and basically, quite frankly, our lack of understanding about what the diffusion of AI means and the lack of containment of AI? You say this won't happen again. I say it could get worse.
Okay, yeah. Well, what a wonderful book, first of all. But that was all about the simultaneous attack on civilization, taking out the phones, for example, lights, anything that they were trying to target at the same time. What we've seen here is just two companies that have happened to have had a compatibility issue. That would be relatively difficult to attack again unless you've got so many things lined up in place. But to have that simultaneously happening in other areas as well, that's the unlikelihood. However, like I say, we've learned so much from this. It potentially wasn't thought even possible before, but it takes just a few things like this to just make us get better with our processing, our policies. And I'm sure, I'm positive that we should hopefully, with a bit of faith and trust, move forward from this.
I'm not. Then I did something that was equally stupid. I read Mustafa Suleiman's book, The Coming Wave, as well. And quite frankly, he points out, and if anyone hasn't read it, they should. There you go. I'm not getting any royalties. But quite frankly, he points out that our ability to have containment in any technology, it's shaky at best, let alone with the way AI is moving at such a warp speed, Jake. We're not in control of the technology, are we?
Well, I beg to differ, actually. I think AI is wonderful. It's doing some fantastic things for efficiency, for the health sector alone, for example. I think we can move forward with technology. We did so in the 90s. People were worried about the internet or World Wide Web coming out to take people's jobs. But of course, it created so many as well. And now I think we're in this new phase with AI. It's all about education here. I think the public need to be well more aware of what AI can do and how to use it and how it can benefit us. And if we all work together, I think it all can be an amazing time ahead of us.
Got another book for us? We've mentioned two. Might as well go for three.
No, I think that would be my two top tips, actually.
Yeah, me too. Jake, lovely to see you. Thanks for joining us from sunny old Devon. Jake Moore, Global Cybersecurity Advisor at Eset as well. Thanks, Arjun, for joining in as well. Right, coming up on the show, we're going to bring you an exclusive behind-the-scenes look at Ferrari's new E-building as the luxury car maker goes electric.